To arrive where you are, to get to where you are from not, you must go by a way there is no ecstasy. In order to possess what you do not possess, you must go by the way of disposition. In order to arrive at what you are not, you must go through the way in which you are not. T. Eliot. That is a quote about Pluto, which is going direct, has gone direct, is now direct, and we have left a 20-year cycle and we're going to start a 19-year cycle. That's what we're talking about today. This report covers all of Pluto. Then we go over and break down Aquarius and what that energy means. And then you get a report based on your rising sign for what Pluto could mean for you. It's going to be great. Let's go. If you are watching this instead of listening to this, then this is going to be in two parts because we have to break down Pluto differently than we have to do the signs because my app only lets me record 120 minutes and I went over. So I split them into two. So you'll find this video will have all of Pluto and Aquarius, and the next video will have all of the sign readings. Okay. But first, I have a couple of amazing announcements. 2 live workshops are coming at the end of the year. One is going to be your 2025 astrology extravaganza. Okay. We're going to be unveiling 2025 using all of the symbols, human design, gene keys. I'm going to pull tarot. And it will be live so you can ask questions for the upcoming year. And I'll be going over each of the rising signs and what to expect for the year. Then we have Manifestation Mastery. I've been working on a course for 6 years and it's launching in 2025. So I decided to do some workshops to really start sending out the messages and the downloads. And there's so much good stuff. You will learn a lot more about the art or the process or how to reveal your greatest manifestations in this course. And it's going to cover everything. So sign up for the workshops. And if you sign up for the workshop, you'll get a really good breakdown with exercises you can do. It'll be live again, so we can chat if you have questions about any of this stuff. And I'm very much looking forward to those. So I'm going to be practicing my lives at some point so that I can ensure that those go great. Because, I like to present. I like to have some graphic designs in this. Thank you for all the new subscribers that are here. I hope you enjoy the ride. This is going to be a great episode. Word from the sponsors. Get into it. I'm looking to have a real conversation with you about your energy levels. Tell me. Be real for a second. Think about it. How's the coffee working? You having multiple cups a day and you're still tired? Or those naps, are you waking up more exhausted than when you went to sleep? It's all about the energy in your cells. If you're looking to increase your natural energy so that you can move through your day with purpose without collapsing, you need to work on the energy in the cells, period. The energy in the cells are what's powering your body up. You're just a collection of cells, nothing more, nothing less. Billions and billions of cells. And those cells are battery packs. And those battery packs take information in, use the information that it can, and excretes what it cannot. And if you're looking to power up your cells, I'm going to tell you to check out Shilajit. Why? It's all about the fulvic acid. The fulvic acid is where it's at. And Shilajit is about 80% fulvic acid. What is fulvic acid? Fulvic acid is the amino acid that makes the information on the inside of the cell so that when you create the duplicate copies of the cell, you're creating a healthy duplicate copy. This is where that metabolism and that energy comes in. Taking just 0.05 grams 3 times a day is going to power you up, giving you the energy you need to fuel through your day. So listen up, my little battery pack. You can take it in 2 ways. You can get the honey sticks, meaning you can just easily add it to teas. I know you're taking my herbal remedies, my blood purifying, my womb healing teas, these things that are helping nourish your body. Add it. Just a little bit goes a long way. You can also take the resin, heat it up in a warm little pot of water, take that stick. It's going to have a pre-measuring device on there. All you got to do is add a tiny scant amount. You won't taste it. And you're providing the fulvic acid that your body is craving to help you restore the energy that you need to function on a day-to-day basis. Why aren't you getting that fulvic acid naturally? Well, it's because it's lacking greatly in our foods. You can tell me if you're eating 100% organic all the time, this might not be for you. But for the rest of us who may not be able to do that constantly, that is where we get the proper amount of fulvic acid. It's in the vegetables that comes from a healthy soil base that isn't grown with pesticides or synthetic fertilizers, okay? If you feel like you're eating too much junk food, processed food, things that come from a plant that don't grow from a plant, this is for you. If you feel like you can't afford to buy all of the organic produce that you would like, and who can? The grocery prices are insane. This is for you. If you feel like the nap's not working and the coffee ain't doing it, this is for you. It's time to energize your body so that you can thrive, okay? And I'm not going to leave you hanging. Go to shop.naturalsheilaji.com/luluti-skincare. Use code Candace for 10% off. Obviously, that link is in the description. Enjoy. And now back to the program. Okay, we're back. So we've been talking about Pluto every freaking month over here. So there are parts of this that you have heard before, but I'm going to cover them from another direction. And I've got some good readings for you. But I want to talk to you about Pluto from a personal place first, because I have heavy Pluto in my chart. Pluto Scorpio is where my Pluto is home in my natal chart. And now it's in the 6th house of daily habits. And the other day, I happened to be going through looking at astrology just based on things that happened in my life. And I went to look to see when I got my first dog, Sable. Shout out to Sable, my first dog. I got her, it turns out, because I was just looking at the astrology, I got her during a Pluto Venus moon conjunction with my sun in my 4th house, Scorpio. And I thought, well, that's really interesting. That's a total transformation of my day, right? Like the 6th house rules the daily habits, pets, health, how you go about aligning and positioning your day, your daily beliefs, things like that. And Pluto is all about transformation. And like kids, not comparing dogs, kids, but I'm saying like kids, when you get an animal, you usually have to transition something in your whole life to like align it with your life, right? And it became a very obvious place where Pluto was working in my favor because I love my dog. So then I have a lot of animals and I'm always looking for patterns, right? So a lot of animals. I started looking up every single animal, the dates that they came, and lo and behold, there was Pluto obviously still in my 6th house, but there was something else happening, um, forming all kind of funny conjunctions that made it very repetitive. So my second dog, Porter, and Sable is the only dog that I've actually gone out to acquire myself, like looked this dog up, got this dog, uh, and went through the steps. Every other animal in my house just came here. Okay. They showed up one day. So Porter's like, I saw Porter running down the street with a broken leg. I rescued him. He just came into the scene, right? His arrival, sun in the 4th house, obviously Pluto's been there for 20 years. So Pluto's in my 6th house, conjunction to the moon. And I thought, well, that's adorable. Moon is all about for our emotions and it's like transformation of emotions, right? Then I looked up when I got 2 of my ducks because I we literally got 2 ducks during COVID and another animal that kind of just showed up. And I had so my ducks showed up Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto conjunction. They completely transform my reality. Like I have to go outside and feed them twice a day. Not that I don't love to. They make you go outside way more than you normally would. And like I actually started really heavily gardening when I got these ducks. I found that to be really funny. Now, my son was not in my 4th house. My son was in my 10th house of like career Midas touch, which I then found kind of funny because literally, I started to garden. I noticed, I started working in holistic herbal wellness. I learned about herbal wellness and I literally put it in my line at Luluti Skincare. So it's like there was something to that. Next one was the next duck, because we have three ducks. And the third duck came because someone found a duck in their backyard, and ducks don't like to be alone. So they were looking for someone. It was like a friend of a friend who contacted us because a duck needed a home. Okay. Now, this one was Pluto um, opposing Venus, which I thought was just so funny. Okay. Again, May, it was around May when I got the first two ducks. It was around May when we got the second duck. She was my son was in my 10th house. Last but not least, the cat, Onyx the cat. Okay. Another animal, Pluto moon conjunction. Sun in fourth house of home. Now, this is funny because I start realizing, like, I get certain animals in the fall around October, November, around Thanksgiving, and between Halloween and Thanksgiving. And then I get outdoor animals between, April and May. So, but these patterns showed up for me. And then I thought, everything you read about Pluto makes it seem like Pluto is so terrible. And I don't like readings like that, because life is meant to be lived with light, right? So I go through and try to find ways to, in my personal life, like when I'm going through transitions, because when you get a new pet, it's not always a fun transition. It can be quite stressful, like trying to integrate a cat with two dogs, or trying to get this big dog with my little dog who was an only for so long, but also growth and expansion and like more animals to love and all of these other things. Because there's something with these transformations, whether we view them as good or bad, they still have such amazing messages to share with us. And that is what I want you to keep in your head as we go through this reading. So let's go back to Pluto and what Pluto means. We know Pluto is all about transformation and death. We've talked about this. We've talked about how it comes into a sign. It takes forever to get through. It hits every single degree, and it's going through to transform that energy, going through to transform that energy. And no matter how you slice it, energy transform, like I want to say I don't know if I want to say transformation or if I want to say transference. Okay. Energy transference is quite alchemical. And there's something that has to happen to transform energy. It has to, almost like there's a pattern that's set, and it has to like release that pattern, which could be a shattering. I don't know. I don't think it's a gentle process. And then reorganize with new things in the field, and then create a unique pattern around that organization. Now, this might be happening quantum level quickly, but we might feel it, from a different perspective. So when you think of transformation, you should really consider that it is creating newness in the field, just based on that motion. It's bringing in more into the pattern. So learn to be gentle with yourself during this process, and maybe it won't feel so chaotic. Now, I have this great book, and it's called Tracy Marks, Planetary Aspects. The author is Tracy Marks. And she really goes over, I like the way that she covers a lot of different planets. I think it's a really cool way to get to it. So I wanted to read you a little bit about what she says about Pluto. And this is more for people, it's about T-squares and how Pluto may interact with another sign, but she really gets Pluto here. So let's talk about it. And it's the positive expressions of Pluto. When you have learned to harness and channel your Plutonian energies, you will be able to experience the darkness at your core without allowing it to overcome or deform you. You will discover that contacting and accepting those primal forces enabled you to draw from an illimitable supply of energy and personal power to cope with major crisis, to regenerate yourself when drained or discouraged, and to evolve yourself with total commitment in an activity, cause, or relationship that deserves your investment of energy. Okay. So it's like really throwing yourself into all of it, not just the parts that you want to participate in, but every aspect of your reality. Now, here's some great advice. When you discharge the energy at the nucleus of your being, you will not explode destructively. You will be able to contain that energy and to transmute it into constructive activity. Aware of its potency, you will find adequate release for it in your daily life, connecting emotionally with other people, experiencing sexual heights, which are mutually fulfilling, and confronting challenges in your personal life and in your work. Okay, so you're learning how to move through the underworld here. That is the point of Pluto, is to teach you that when you are in circumstances that are not in your control, to allow a level of surrendering and allow the process to unfold naturally. Because if nothing is guaranteed, time is, and it's always changing. And the longer you don't stick yourself to or attach yourself to negative or positive expressions, I'm even saying both, and instead focus in and hone in your energy, especially through this idea of constructive activity where creation is taking place in that moment, right? Because activity equals creation. Even if you're working out, you're creating more energy, okay? To instead, it's like surrendering to the process and allowing the rest of it to unfold without you having to attach yourself and bounce around, okay? You get to stay in the center. Now, I'm not going to keep you from the negative aspects because I think even as I'm speaking, I'm thinking of the current climate of the world, the outer world, right? And this energy is where we should be going, but this is probably where we're more at, okay? Too easily, you allow the dark forces within to overcome you. Unable or unwilling to find constructive outlets for your pent up energy, you allow it to drive you to extremes. Every experience must be intense and transforming, every action motivated by your all or nothing approach to life. Because you view the world through black and white lenses, you can neither accept other people nor yourself. Your judgment is harsh. all that does all that does not conform to your wishes or your perceptions of reality must be punished, forced or compelled to undergo drastic changes. Because you feel powerless in controlling the demons that rage within you, you attempt to wield power over other people. But your power is ineffectual because no matter how successfully you dominate others, you are still at the mercy of your own psyche. Now, in I Ching Human Design and Gene Keys, this is gate 60 and it's connected to the gates of limitation. Okay, we're being squoze in. And again, if you think of that alchemical energy, it's this pattern that's moving, right? It wants to add more to the field. It might have to collapse on itself, right? It kind of like expands as far as it can go, collapses back in. More light from that dark space is birthed into the field, and then that pattern realigns and goes back towards expansion. Okay, so you have to kind of be constricted to release. It's like shaking you loose of all of these false beliefs to then put more energy into the field. So when you think of these limits and these constrictions that we're all feeling personally and collectively, know that that is the shadow feeling that we could be having, and there's a higher place to go. Okay, I'm going to read you something from Gene Keys first, because I was like, I haven't read this before, and this is what I've been really trying to get this message across. Now, in human design, you're going to feel this very much in the root chakra. And if you don't go to the root chakra and you try to avoid it, then you're going to be feeling it in your endocrine glands, your adrenal glands. Okay, it's connected to stress and it's connected to survival. When we are going through these alchemical processes, if you are in the shadow, because this is the shadow energy, okay? If you are in the shadow of this energy, you are going to feel like you are dying. That's the feeling of Pluto. And there's going to be a lot of extremes in certain areas of your life that are dying off for new things to come into the field. Okay. So you have to remember that, because you can either fall through it, cry through it, stump your feet through it, try to avoid it. You can't really avoid it. to where you're going, or you can surrender to the process and allow it to manifest in your highest good. Now, we've been here before too. We've looked at this gene keys because this is all about the cracking of the vessel. As in, when that pressure comes in, something's going to have to crack, break, unleash, unfold, and the pressure is going to build until as it draws in energy. All right. And it can feel like the cracking of a vessel. So the gift here is realism, and the siddhi, the highest energy you will feel from this, is considered justice. And we're going to go over these. And again, I feel like the need to read some of these things to you because I find them so prevalent right now that they're speaking out loud. And why do I have to say it if they can say it? Makes it easier. The 60th shadow represents one of the most potent forces responsible for pulling humankind in the opposite direction of evolution. It is the power of de-evolution and limitation, and is the counterweight to life itself. When one consistently yields to its shadow frequency, this gene key catalyzes death. The 60th shadow will shut down your life receiving faculties, essentially freezing life into even tighter patterns over the course of time. In the modern world, the 60th shadow is apparent everywhere. It appears wherever innovation and imagination are stifled by red tape, or wherever men or women seem to have forgotten what it means to be human. The very fact that the great proportion of the world population still believes in poverty while a select few thrive is due to a small part to the 60th shadow. Up until now in our human evolution, all of our dreams of a harmonious world have been thwarted by this one single force, the shadow of limitation. It sometimes seems that no matter how good our intentions are, there is a force that appears bent on keeping them from manifesting. But this 60th shadow is also a great collective release code for higher harmony. It will not yield to force, but waits for one thing: time. All of life follows cycles within time. This was the great revelation behind the original I Ching. Its 64 symbols of hexagrams hold the sequential codes for the unwinding of nature's great plan. Unless you can escape its frequency, the 60th shadow will prevent you from seeing that life has a built-in mechanism for righting itself. At the shadow frequency, this will cause you to distrust the flow of life. Sometimes the flow of evolution appears to stand still or get stuck, and this manifests as the human's inability to break out of set structures and patterns. The 60th shadow and its gift are about structure. The law of all form is that no structure can last. Each and every one of them comes programmed to eventually decline and die. This alone is food for much insight in your life. The 60th shadow concerns the human over reliance on structure and the consequent death of something very special indeed: magic. Magic refers to events that do not follow logical, sequential laws. Magic is spontaneous, highly mutative, unpredictable, and uncontrollable. Its greatest quality is that it is beyond meaning and understanding. The 60th shadow is the greatest critic of magic. Its simple purpose is to control the flow of life and prevent anything original from occurring. One of the places where we see a very clear representation of the 60th shadow is in the realm of human laws. We create laws that govern our societies, and then we put in place sophisticated systems of legislation to implement those laws. The original purpose of our law was to protect the innocent and ensure that justice is delivered to those who transgress these laws. However, the structures themselves often become so bogged down in their own limitations that they cease to operate efficiently or even fairly. In the world today, the single greatest limitation to creating a universal society based on peace is red tape. There are so many laws in place in so many societies that they prevent us humans from seeing or behaving outside our little boxes. The laws themselves may be social, moral, religious, or economic. The programming partner of the 60th shadow is the 56th shadow of distraction. And it is easy to see how these two paired gene keys conspire to blind human beings from actually doing what it is they really want to do. We are too bogged down in our own structures, and we become so distracted by these structures that we actually forget our planet. Money is an enormous limitation to humanity. Its existence requires so many laws that bind us and control our behavior. As long as money exists on our planet, we will continue to ensnare our species with the ultimate material limitation. Until money is fully eliminated, true material freedom can never be experienced. This is another key point. The other side of the shadow of limitation is about the past. Whenever and wherever people remain stuck because of an outdated mindset, the 60th shadow is at work. This is a shadow that abhors the new, the innovative, and the original. It is the nemesis of change and youth. This is an archetype deep within human DNA that has always tried to control and suppress the youth of the world. Many of the rigid structures of our modern school system ensure that young minds are structured, homogenized, and packaged from a very early age. One of the great limitations for children is to be forced to sit indoors behind a desk at an age when all their bodies want to do is run and explore life. This early imposition of structure on the developing mind, body, and emotions of children have created a backlash of reactionary behavior from children at all levels of society. You cannot imprison youth without serious repercussions coming back to haunt you. Now, this is showing up all over the place in reality, okay? And it's showing up in one of two ways: either a repressive nature where there's no structure at all, okay? And structure is necessary for a place for the soul, for the energy to have a way to take form, right? And then this other side is in too rigid, okay? Where nothing is allowed to flow, it all has to go in this very tight pattern, right? There is a way to overcome this. So the gift here is realism, okay? So I'm going to read you this. As we have also seen, there is a great capacity for magic in the 60th gene key, and some may find it ironic that it is also called the gift of realism. Actual realism, in its truest sense, always involves magic. We know from modern quantum physics that all matter is made up of vibrating energy fields. Therefore, all structures in the world of form are really an illusion. They are frameworks through which something unexpected may occur. The only thing needed for magic to occur is some form of a structure and an open mind. This may seem a surprisingly simple set of criteria, but it is rarely found in the world. We usually see people burdened by the weight of the 60th shadow. That is, people toting great impressive structures and systems, but so unidentified with and attached to their structures but so identified with and attached to their structure that it throttles the original idea. We humans are not comfortable with uncertainty, and we do not trust in magic. Thus, we cling to our systems, religions, laws, and modes of thinking. And this gift is all about, think of it like music. There are certain patterns that come into the human experience. And it can either super unpredictable for you, but you got to learn to move with the rhythm of now, because where you are is where you're supposed to be. So like you've been placed into this frame of time and space. You can either accept it or reject it. And if you accept it, you have to learn to flow within it, or you become too rigid. If you reject it, you have no form in the game at all, okay? And time moves through the body. So if you want to move through time, you got to be in the body. You got to be in the present moment. You got to be in this space, and you've got to learn to align with all of the energy in the space. It like clicks you into your time, and then you control the board and you can move accordingly, all right? Okay, so let's summarize this Pluto idea. Transforming energy has been here. The only difference is it's moving from Capricorn, which was all about those. Capricorn is an earth sign, it's like a rock. Okay, it's very rigid. It's all about those structures of form that are like built through time, that Capricorn is also the oldest earth sign. Okay. So think of it like being the most formed form of earth, as in these structures are rigid and locked in place. And then think of Pluto coming through to transform that energy. All right. Aquarius, much different energy, not the same energy at all. So Pluto, while still in this same idea, right? The cracking of the vessel, the limitations, the justice, the realism, you now have to, it's like we went through this place where now we know what the playing field is, and then we go to Aquarius energy, which is going to switch up the theme. All right. Well, switch up the storyline around us. And before that, word from sponsors, then we're going to get into the symbology behind Aquarius. Hey, babe, when you get a chance, go into your beauty cabinet and let me know how many ingredients on the back of that skincare you can actually pronounce. Honestly, do you even know what they are? Your skin is your body's largest organ. Your body is an organic vessel. Everything you put on the skin goes directly into your bloodstream. That's why I designed Luluti Skincare. I wanted to create holistic skincare with intention. Our Euribia collection eases the process and brings back the natural balance so your skin can restore itself. First of all, it's a celebration of algae, which is a natural humectant, meaning that it draws hydration to the skin to give you the plump. It features chlorella, giant sea kelp, bladderwrack, spirulina, algae oil, and red algae. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Let's go through the collection quickly so that I can tell you all the benefits. Our massaging facial soap bar strips dirt, not moisture. It's a hydrating cleanser made in the shape of a dome. This soap bar is like a gua sha, so it's circulating the skin as it's cleansing it. Our AHA treatment is a weekly detoxing mask, perfect for getting all the gunk out after everything that has come in contact with your face all week long. We use all natural acids, Dead Sea mud, Dead Sea clay, chlorella, excellent at detoxing. All of these ingredients actually draw out impurities from the skin. Raw honey, royal jelly, and giant sea kelp. The greatest part is that you can use it on your face and your armpits. Both of them should be detoxed regularly. Now, our Botox in a bottle, aka the probiotic and peptide serum mist, gives you all the nourishment of a serum without any of the weight. One of the star ingredients in this is the coconut water because it has the electrolytes to work just like it works in the body, remineralizing the skin and retaining hydration. We also added peptides, which is an amino acid that helps rebuild keratin, elastin, and collagen. The probiotics help balance the skin's natural microbiome, and the 40-day steep tincture of green tea and giant sea kelp is full of antioxidants to oxygenate the cells. Now, our Radiant Defense Gel gives you 24-hour moisture and hydration. It's got low molecular weight hyaluronic acid, what your body naturally produces to help hold on to and retain that hydration. It also features ethically sourced snail mucin that we have cold pack shipped from Italy. This is really an excellent hydrator. The algae oil, mango butter, and rose hip are the moisturizing elements to seal the skin and protect it all day. It also has passion flower, reishi mushroom, and chlorella. Unlike traditional skincare, you won't be purchasing this again in 30 days. It lasts for a long time. Our massaging facial soap bar usually lasts around 2 to 3 months. And we have a sample kit that will last you about a week so you can really delve into the products. It comes with the cutest carrying case and a 100% organic cloth. Subscribe to the website. Not only do you get 20% off your first purchase, free samples with every purchase. Subscribe today and download our free energy healing facial massage course, which is going to teach you the foundations of energy and how to give yourself an excellent facial massage. So if you're looking to clean out your beauty cabinet and ditch the 10 steps, the 8 steps, the this step, the that step, and have a quick, easy treatment that always works, check us out. Just head over to lulutiskincare.com. You'll find the link in the description. Now, let's get back to the show. Okay, welcome back. Now, Pluto is, it's going to be with Aquarius for until 2043. That's 19 years. Okay, so much changes in 19 years. So this transformative energy. Aquarius is a fixed sign. Just like Capricorn, because it's at the end of the signs, okay? It's an old sign. It's old air, okay? It's the air that has another form. And It's an evolved energy as well. Now, anyone who knows an Aquarius or who has a lot of Aquarius in their chart, there's a level of detachment, and then which is a healthy thing, and this rational decision making place where they see the field from a larger perspective. Okay. I want to talk about the shape of the sign. So Aquarius is not an animal and it's not a human. It's a symbol, right? And it looks like moving water, but in reality, it's a current of air. It's electricity. It's static. It's charged. It's fast moving. It's fierce. It's cold. Okay. Some adjectives to allow you to get behind what Aquarius stands for: truth seeking, intellectual, friendly, unprejudiced, humanitarian, intuitive, attuned to universal will, independent, loves freedom, rebellious, eccentric, goes to the own beat of its own drum, stubborn, intolerant, lawless, non-committal, cool, logical, it doesn't stand for intolerance. It doesn't make space for something that doesn't work with humanity. It's my best friend is a double Aquarius, okay? A rising and a sun. And she actually works in government, like public defending. It's a perfect example. And, she comes up against a system continuously and is always seeking ways to use the law against them, right? Like finding the cracks, finding the holes, finding the other places in the plot line where she can then turn the story on themselves so that they have to make a decision, right? That's the energy that this transformation will now be taking place in. So imagine it pulling everything that it learned from Capricorn into this sign to then transform from this perspective, right? So again, we have the image here from Jafra. I'm trying to go through all of these because they're so good, each and every one of them, and they provide so much information in the form of symbols that I think it will give you the full understanding of Aquarius. And I just love this. And I've linked everything below. So I want you to look at this image that we have here of this guy and this. It almost kind of reminds me of a tarot card, which is probably why I love it so much. But this dream like air is flowing all over the place. It's blue. It's the dream world. It's not on earth. Um, and this is the water bearer. Okay. And this is just a really freaking cool card. And we're going to go through each and every one of the symbols so that you have a really good idea of what Aquarius energy means, because you're going to be existing in this energy we all are for the next 19 years. Okay. So, first of all, thing I want to point out is the sun here. That's not the moon, that's actually the sun. And because we're not on Earth, the sun looks different. It's not yellow, bright, shiny. This to me is like closer to source, closer to the most high, okay? And it's surrounded by this circular rainbow, which is like the promise of God to humanity. It's all about the full spectrum of colors to say like a full projection of its power, all the colors, nothing's missing from it, full source shining down on the waters or the air from the water bearer. It's like the force of the water, right? It's the air and it's like charged information coming down to humanity, right? So you've got this source of all literally projecting the full field of energy onto this water, onto this information. Now let's look at the water bearer. We all know water is life. And if you ever see this in a tarot deck, you will know that it's usually a woman pouring out the water. And I think it's the star card. And you also know that this vessel that holds the water, the actual water in the jug, the vessel is like almost like the chalice. It's like holy water, right? The jug, and the water coming out of the jug is full of information. But I feel like what's really being focused on here, because it's Aquarius and it's moving air, is the force and the almost like the oxygen in the water. Again, it's charged. It is really important information coming into our reality field. And it's almost like, as above, so below. As much as this energy of this limitation and this restriction from Pluto can feel so capsizing and so imminent, on the other side of that, there's so much light energy that also has to grow because it's a balanced field. They're extreme on both sides, right? So you also have this utmost potential up here, and that to me is the water is coming in to refresh the spirit, to purify, to cleanse, to bring in more information, to transform, to allow for growth. Now, something else you will notice here is the beautiful, my favorite part of the image are the lotus flowers, right? That are growing at the bottom. And anybody who's into spirituality knows that there are lotus flowers in all aspects, all ancient societies. The lotus flower is pretty high up there, okay? And there are a couple of reasons why. One, it doesn't matter how old that seed is. There's something about the lotus seed holding this information, protecting it in this shell, okay? This pocket of information could be represented as you, right? This seed of information that will last thousands of years, but unless placed in the right conditions, you're not going to hear from it, right? It holds this information tight, protecting it until the right conditions are present. And if you don't remember this from the last few astrology readings, Uranus, which is the ruler, we'll get to that, of Aquarius, the old ruler, is all about right now finding yourself in the right space, the right garden for you to set down roots and bloom. This lotus represents that seed. It's once you set yourself into that place, it requires muddy, dirty, stinky, nasty water. This seed has to be placed in that water, the nastiest of the water, right? The murk and the mud and the mile, Scorpio energy, like this dark spot. And then it needs a ton of water and 6 hours of sunlight, and then it's going to grow up. And they say it blooms in like less than 6 days. It happens really quick. That is the energy of the lotus. That is the energy of you. When you get to where you're supposed to be, enough so that you can set down your roots, you grow. That's the only thing keeping many of us from getting to the next level, is ensuring that we are placed in the right place. Now, this is a place where you have to remember that there's a surrendering that needs to happen for you to get there, not an action. You are in the right place. That is the message of source, right? That we are all where we're supposed to be right now. The only thing not in the right place is your energy. Recognizing the mud and appreciating the darkness and pulling in the light from that experience. The water's coming in with or without your knowledge of it. Is when you snuggle into where you are and click into alignment, that time and that place. You get your energy in line with the current field of reality. That's what that means. Get your energy in line with your current feel good here. Find things to like about being here. Focus on the things that make you feel good here, not from a place of full delusionment. I mean, but kind of from a place of a little bit of delusionment. You got to find the good in the story. You got to look for the light in the room, right? When you do that, then you have a place to bloom from. In all of these different environments, you're supposed to find the light on the board, in the video game. And that is what opens up to some new experiences. We'll get to that later. But that lotus flower is saying, like, when I'm like this, those who have planted the seed, those who have done the work, those who have rooted into place, growth is coming. Okay. And 19 years of growth is nothing to shake at. This is not a Mercury that comes in for a couple of days. This is not a Venus that comes in for maybe a month or two. This is 19 years of growing. That's huge. Think of it from that perspective. Now, in the back of this scene, you have a skull. And if you zoom into this, if you can see this, there is a man, and this flowing air that has bridged and moved around this image. And again, I'm sorry if you're on the podcast. I'm trying to explain this the best that I can. Check me out on YouTube. Um, this this path that's being formed by wind in this image, okay? And there is a person walking towards the center of this open skull, towards this mound in the back with heaven, right? It's a golden city of light. It couldn't be more clear than that. This is the journey of unfolding to get you to something. There's this, and to me the skull represents the body. The being, this light being in the center of the skull, is like the mind being illuminated, okay? And the mind is the only part in this game that you're supposed to be focusing on, right? The mind is where everything is happening. It's the power player in all the right positions, okay? Body only does what the mind says. Soul is perfect, doesn't need any work up there. Literally the mind is trying to get closer to the soul. The mind is where all of the work is. And it's like getting your mind right, becoming more Aquarian like in your thinking, detaching yourself from the field, keeping your mind bright, keeping your mind light is the goal with Aquarius. Now, the old ruler of Aquarius was Uranus. The new ruler is Saturn. Those very serious planets. Okay, let's go over each one. Uranus. Because what you have to do here is, when we go over your energy charts, knowing where Uranus and Saturn are going to give you really good ideas where that Pluto transformation, there's a couple places where it's working. All right. Uranus is all about that change that is necessary. That's also a part of the alchemical response. Pluto transforms it, gets it to this death stage where it can go into this dark area where there's no light, no pattern. Uranus can change the pattern from this place so it can project out to the field again. Or even you could think of Uranus coming in to shatter the pattern and bring in more light. It's doing the change part of it. Saturn is all about the structure and the form that we were talking about. Some structure is necessary. Too much is rigid. Great example here. Something that I learned with Pluto being in my sixth house of daily house and habits, right? I used to try to write my schedule like I was really going to do this stuff all day. I'm going to tell you about it. It was literally like Monday, do this, Tuesday, do this, at 12 o'clock, you do this, at 5 o'clock, you do this. I didn't keep none of that. Not a piece of it, not a shred, none of it. And then I went from trying to do that to, I don't need a schedule. I can just roll free. The universe will tell me everything to do. I need some form partnered with some freedom, right? So it's like, you film every other Wednesday. You get these things done. You get these things done. I have a longer length of time. I had to determine this schedule that was very uniquely mine and no one else's, that worked for me. That's the form that works for me. Within the forms and the boundaries that I've placed for myself, I then have a place that I can flow and fill in the pattern with light. Now I have a place that I can move where it's all my light isn't scattering out. I'm working on a little bit of this, working on a little bit of that, taking too many breaks, working on a little too much of this. Instead, now there is a system in place where I can now fill in these pockets and these patterns with light to fulfill these requirements that I have placed in my reality field based on what I'm trying to get from it, right? As you can see, I'm trying to talk to you from this perspective of how you actually manifest, because your manifestation is just the life you're living. It's the movement in the frame, right? But getting what you actually want from the frame, getting what you want from your actual reality requires strategic placements, intentions, energy, knowing what your goals are so that you can get to them. You create the field, you create the game, you play the game, you follow the rules because you made the rules. So I want you to think about it from that perspective. Where Saturn is where you might need to unform or reform. This is your discipline planet. It's going to tell you how to strategize, okay? While Uranus is there to bring changes in so that you have more energy to work with. Just a heads up, if you saw that cranberry tart from New York Times, it's worth it. The only news I read are the recipes. And my husband made this, is slamming. Cranberry lemon tart on a shortbread crust. It's 104 and I had to just stop and have a slice. Just a heads up, this ran long. All of your houses and signs are in the next video that was already uploaded. So you have both videos, but this is a part 2. If you're watching the YouTube, I'm gonna smush them together. If it's the podcast, I need an app that lets me record for longer than 1 hour, 20 minutes. I think that's my time. So if you know of one, please leave a description in the bio. See you in the next video.